Here's Secretary Blinken this morning. I'm not sure where he is, but he's not in the U.S. He's somewhere in the Middle East when he learned that Henry Kissinger had died. So here's sort of an off the cuff, but over the top. He's the greatest predecessor that I've had and a man I admire most. I'm sure you'll disagree with all of this, but here's Secretary Blinken on Henry Kissinger today.
Secretary Kissinger really set the standard for everyone who followed in this job. I was very privileged to get his counsel many times, including as recently as about a month ago. He was extraordinarily generous with his wisdom, with his advice. Few people were better students of history. Even fewer people did more to shape history than Henry Kissinger.
Well, he may be right in terms of shaping history, but the history that he shaped resulted in the deaths of millions of human beings in Vietnam and Cambodia, the overthrow of the popularly elected President Salvador Allende and his murder in Chile, and arguably fomented Watergate by wiretapping his own staff and his urge for vengeance against the late, great Daniel Ellsberg. But I'll let you comment. I'm sorry for jumping in.
Hey, no problem.
I'd say for you and not for me.
Yeah, no. I love it, Judge. And I agree with you completely. And, he was Secretary of State and National Security Advisor under Ford. I guess he was just Secretary of State under Nixon. But he, under both of them, he was in charge of the secret war in Laos and Cambodia, where they're just carpet bombing these people. And they had, two sets of books, the real coordinates for the secret war and then the fake coordinates. And, it's in the movie. I'm 99% sure it's in the documentary called The American Holocaust about Vietnam, where they show congressional testimony of this colonel, I guess, or captain or something. And he's saying, well, we kept bombing them because they just kept sending us bombs and we didn't really have any more good targets. But what are we going to do? Let the tarmac just fill up with bombs? We got to get rid of them somehow. So we just kept launching missions. And this thing was just on autopilot for years and years and years. And it was kept secret from the American people. And of course, when the secret war in Cambodia was revealed, that was what led to the protests and then the killings at Kent State and all of that. Is a huge turning point in the war. And yeah, look, so, they had prolonged the war, their secret plan to prolong the war while claiming they had a secret plan to end it. And then what they do, they escalated and escalated for years. And then it is true that Nixon eventually did scale down and withdraw most of the infantry while escalating the air war and then leaving it to Gerald Ford to finally wrap the whole thing up. But
by today's standards, Scott, with the hindsight that we have, it was such an unmitigated disaster, such a horrible catastrophe for human life, for the government of the United States of America, for the Constitution of the United States of America, for truth. The Pentagon Papers revealed all this. Who the hell around today still defends Vietnam but this monster, now dead, died yesterday or earlier today, who orchestrated it?
Yeah, almost no one. Almost no one. In fact, even Pat Buchanan, who is just a cold warrior to the bitter end, admitted to Tom Woods on the show. Because Tom said, come on, man. Look at the cultural revolution at home that you're so opposed to that came as a result of all the radicalism from the war. You got to admit the blowback here for us would be enough to undermine the case for war there. And Pat kind of said, yeah, I guess you're right, Tom. Even though he just wanted to hold the line against them commies so bad. But the reality was, and, I was born in 1976, Josh. I was raised in the shadow of the war in Vietnam. And the way I always was raised to understand it in the 1980s was that you're sending these guys to fight this counterinsurgency war against guerrillas in a jungle.